I think the only real danger there in the water would be sea urchins. If they don't, they could face fines. And so this is not some kind of scam to get your information, but just have that in mind. If you do see a sign, don't take that lightly. Hi everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Sarah, a Canadian expat that's been living in Croatia since 2012. So today I'm going to talk about safety and Croatia. Is Croatia a safe place to visit, to live in? I'm sure if any of you are planning a trip here, that's one thing that might cross your mind. How safe is Croatia, and do I need to worry about anything in particular? So yes, I would say generally Croatia is a very safe country to visit, and you shouldn't run into any problems if you're traveling in a group, or maybe you're traveling by yourself, or maybe you're a female solo traveler. I've been asked about that sometimes. Is it safe for women to be traveling alone here in Croatia? And I would say yes, absolutely. I've never run into any problems, and I always feel very safe here no matter where we are. I would also say that when comparing bigger Croatian cities with bigger North American cities, for example, I feel much safer in a bigger Croatian city. Croatia has a very, very low rate of violent crime especially. The Global Peace Index actually does a ranking of all the countries according to peacefulness. And Croatia actually ranks 26th on the list. And just to give you some perspective, Italy ranks 31st on the list. The UK ranks 42nd on the list. France is 66 on the list, and the US is just a bit further down than that. So just to give you some perspective, Croatia, among the countries of the world, is very safe to visit, to live in. But of course, there are a few things you should keep in mind, and so I'm going to outline just a few things that might be helpful for you to know before coming here. Pickpocketing. Like any tourist destination, Croatia is not immune to pickpocketers. They do exist, and so just as usual, be mindful of your bags and your purses. Just hold them close to yourself and don't leave them anywhere. But that's pretty much common sense too. Wherever you're going to travel, or even in your home city, you just keep your belongings close to you and you shouldn't have any problem. You can even grab one of those fanny packs that you can wear under your shirt just to keep everything safe if that makes you feel a little more secure. Safety at the beach. There's always that question of what to do with your stuff, your valuables when you go swimming. Your keys, your wallet, obviously you can't go swimming with that. It has to stay at the beach. My advice would just be to leave as much as you can back at your hotel or your accommodation. Keep it in the safe or wherever. And just come to the beach with as little as possible so you're not worried about your stuff when you go swimming. Bring a little bit of cash maybe for a coffee and ice cream at the beach, and everything else, just don't bring it. The Adriatic Sea is very clean and safe to swim in. I think the only real danger there in the water would be sea urchins, the little black spiky creatures that you can step on. So keep your eye out for them. If you're at a popular beach, chances are you won't run into any because they clean the beaches. But if you're at a more secluded or private beach, just watch out for these little black spiky balls, because if you step on them, the spikes will go into your foot and they'll stay in your foot, and then you'll just have to wait for them to kind of come out on their own, and it takes a couple weeks. I have stepped on them before. My sister, who visited a few years ago, also stepped on a big one and had some big spikes left in her foot. So just watch out for those. Maybe wear a pair of water shoes. I know they're not the most beautiful things, but just be careful when you're walking in and out of the sea, that you don't smack your leg on one or you don't step on one, because they're just not fun. If you do step on one, it's not the end of the world. Don't worry, you're going to be fine. Just go to the pharmacy and they'll give you some special cream called Itamol Mast. Probably that's what they'll give you. That's what they gave me and my sister. It smells terrible, but it does work just kind of to help, I think, release the spikes that are in your foot or wherever you got the spikes. So that's just something to be mindful of at the beach. There are a small number of taxi drivers who will try to take advantage of tourists and just get a little extra cash out of them for a certain ride. So be mindful of that and just ask for the price up front. Use really reputable taxi companies, just more popular taxi companies with a proper signage and a meter. Or you can just skip the taxi altogether and use an app like Uber or Bolt, because then you know everything right up front. Although the war ended here a little over 25 years ago, there are still some really remote areas that haven't been completely cleared of landmines. So all of the tourist places and anywhere that tourists would usually go are cleared and they're safe, so you don't have to worry. But if you go to any really remote areas and you see an actual sign that says there's a risk of landmines, just don't take that lightly and just don't go there. But there will be signs posted where there is a possible risk, and that's way off the beaten path. You probably won't come close to it, but just have that in mind. If you do see a sign, don't take that lightly. If you're planning on going hiking in Croatia, then you are in for some of the best views you'll ever see in your life. Really, there are some remarkable spots here all throughout the country for hiking. So we highly recommend hiking, but just make sure that you plan your route ahead of time, or that you seek expert advice if you plan on going anywhere else. Better yet, hire a local guide, because then you're just in the best hands and in the safest hands. They can advise about wildlife or weather changes or any other dangers that you could encounter. So we just really recommend hiring a local guide. There have been many instances where hikers have gotten lost, have been caught in bad weather. Some of the outcomes have not been good. If you'd really prefer not to have a guide, then at least just seek some local expert advice before you go, just to be sure of any potential danger. Just as the tick population has grown in North America, it's also grown in Croatia. So be mindful of that if you're planning on going through the woods or walking in any grassy areas. Just take the normal precautions. Wear socks and shoes and long pants and long sleeves, just to try to prevent any ticks from going onto you. Croatia is a paradise for sailors. The Adriatic is just beautiful, and there are over 1,000 islands that you can sail in and out of, stop in little private inlets and coves. It's just an amazing experience. The only danger here is being caught in some really strong winds called bura here. In Croatia they call it bura, which are just very extreme winds. So there have been cases where beginner sailors have been caught in these really extreme winds and they've needed rescue. So just make sure you look at the forecast and just make sure there's no bura approaching. Tap water is safe to drink pretty much everywhere throughout Croatia. If for some reason it's not safe to drink in a certain place, there should be a sign telling you don't drink the tap water, but otherwise it's safe to drink throughout the country. I've never myself been to a place where I couldn't drink the tap water. So you should be fine. You don't have to stock up on bottled water, and you can just drink right from the tap. But if you're hesitant still, just check with a local in a certain place if you still just feel unsure. If you're taking an overnight bus or a train, just one piece of advice is to keep anything valuable, of course, by your side and not in the overhead storage. I think this is probably common sense, but just keep anything that has any value next to you and hold on to it. So if you fall asleep, it'll still be wrapped around you and no one will be able to snoop through your bags. If you need any immediate medical care, dial 112, fire, dial 193, police, dial 192, and for HAWK, which is the Croatian Automobile Club, for roadside assistance, dial 1987. No matter where you stay in Croatia, whether it be at an Airbnb or a hotel or some other kind of booked accommodation, you'll need to give them either your passport or some other type of government ID upon arrival, because they need to check you into the e-visitor registrar. If they don't, they could face fines. And so this is not some kind of scam to get your information. They really do need to type that into the system. So just know that they're not trying to take your information for other reasons. They really need to see either your passport or another form of government-issued ID. All in all, stay vigilant and just take the normal precautions that you would take really traveling through any country. Croatia's a very safe place to visit and you'll be just fine. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.